Should you play Crypt of the NecroDancer? It's like playing DDR with your hands. You want to space out and just tap on the beat, but you can't because you'll die. You need to listen to the beat and play to it. It's a simple concept, but like all roguelikes, it's not quite what it seems. Some people can play it for hours, and I'm not one of those people. I play for 30-minute sessions, and it's really rewarding because each game takes about 3 to 10 minutes, and it's always a little bit different. So for the visuals, holy hell is it interesting. The style is very much special and new, especially in a semi-oversaturated genre like roguelikes. The issue arises, however, when the scenery doesn't match the gameplay. The first roguelike that actually comes to mind is Binding of Isaac, and when you enter a room in the Binding of Isaac, you can see the whole room. In Crypt of the NecroDancer, it's not quite like that. You can sort of see behind pillars in the middle of rooms, but it's almost entirely blacked out. The disco floor option in the graphics is a great, and yes, toggleable, touch that makes the rhythm game feel even more rhythmy. Now onto the features. The entire game is a feature, and the age-old adage, it's not a bug, it's a feature, becomes true in this game. With the 3 or 4 hours that I've spent crawling the crypts, I found next to no bugs and many features. In keeping comparisons to the Binding of Isaac we were speaking of earlier, since people know that game for the most part, Crypt has altars, where Binding of Isaac has pills and items. At these altars, you can trade weapons for extra health, health for weapons, and many other possible outcomes. Sometimes it even gives you bonuses for free. The Crypt also has a lobby, where upgrades can be had for diamonds acquired in the game. Overall, the features very much outweigh any possible cons, of which there are a few. On to my favorite points. Off the bat, the game teaches you how to play without you even knowing it. I opened the game and put on my headphones like I would any other normal game. What it quickly had me do was a somewhat menial tutorial, or at least that's how it felt at first. To calibrate the audio and video lag, I was to click the up arrow key on my keyboard during each beat of the music. Once the game had actually started, I found out that you can only move your sprite on each one of the beats, which is represented by a little beating heart at the bottom of the screen. I found it refreshing that I was actually learning how to play the game as I was configuring it. My favorite part of the game, however, is that it doesn't feel like you have to actually learn anything. You obviously learn monster patterns and how different weapons and armor work, but the game makes you feel as though you already understand what you're being shown. It feels like you're having fun rather than learning something, and that is what makes this game into a real video game, because at no point does this game lose sight of what it's about. On to my least favorite points now. I don't like being rude. I am a typical Canadian archetype. With that being said, Crypt gives me very little to be upset about. My biggest issue with any game is when it forgets what it is, and Crypt doesn't do that whatsoever. What it does do is ignore what I believe to be a basic rule of roguelites. Crypt of the NecroDancer lets you practice against specific monsters. You can practice how to fight wraiths, bats, monkeys, and everything in between without actually playing the campaign. Normally, I'd have no issue with practicing how to fight enemies that seem very odd at the beginning. But after about 30 minutes of gameplay, which, let's be honest, is very little for the average gamer, it's quite obvious how to defeat different slime monsters or even a dragon. On to the reasons why you will likely enjoy this game. It's a roguelike, therefore the games are quick and rewarding, or quicker and aggravating. If you want to play a game while waiting on the bus, or maybe while pretending to pay attention in class, it's perfect. Slamming 3 keys, regardless of what you're doing, will literally close the game in less than 3 seconds. It's fun to play, and safe to play, regardless of what you're doing in the real world. Just not driving. We wouldn't recommend that. Crypt of the NecroDancer is just a fun game, and that truly connects every aspect of the game together. Be it the music, which is absolutely stellar, the colors, or the rhythmic button pushing. It didn't forget what it was at any point whatsoever. Something else that I found out about this game by crawling through the wiki is that you can actually play this game with a DDR pad, which is pretty insane to me. Although I don't own a DDR pad because this isn't Japan or 2006. I didn't get to try it out, but I believe that it would be incredible if I had the opportunity. You should probably avoid this game if you don't like random gameplay. As I've said, it's a roguelike, so every game is a little bit different from the last and consequentially the next. If you don't like the randomness of never knowing when a level will end, or if you're going to be at a half a heart for the rest of the game, this is very much not for you. Don't forget about the rhythm part. Although not common in most roguelikes, the rhythm in this game is crucial. With different levels, the beat increases or decreases depending on how intense it's becoming. The tutorial begins at 100 beats per minute, but can reach up to 172 beats per minute by the end of the game. To put that in perspective, it's like going from Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd to I'm Still Standing by Elton John. Granted that the time it takes to get between these two, the raise is extremely gradual, but it's incredible when you're near the end of the game, slamming the right arrow key on your keyboard to the tune of Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf, and then you go back to the beginning and it feels like a toddler crawl. As for the answer to our question, should you play it? My answer is that you should play it. I can think of at least 6 different reasons why this is a good game, and only 2 as to why it isn't. 6 to 2 means that this game is a lot closer to a blessing than it is a curse. With tons of DLCs and a base cost of $16.99, it is 100% worth the cost. There's at least 30 hours of gameplay, and ignore what the speedrun records show. If you beat this game in under 3 minutes, then you've played it for at least 300 hours. Take a chance and give it a buy. Whether it's on PS4, PS Vita, Steam, or the Switch, I cannot say enough how worth it this game is to buy. Thank you all again, and join us next time on Should You Play.